little after action review, and I may redo this entire video setup a little bit later and only use bits and pieces of it. But on the Greenworks Weedeater, obviously I've been out using it this morning, and got a few things to report back on this. One, the ergonomics are okay. Once you get the thing adjusted, kind of balances on the arm. I showed that in a longer video. This doesn't come with any kind of a strap, you know, like an anti-fatigue strap, but it does come with an attachment point for one. So if you want to hook something up, you can. Like a lot of other cordless weed eaters, this thing lacks the power of some of the larger corded models. And this is, you know, technically about as powerful as a cordless weed eater is going to get. It's just that there's definitely not much overlap when you're talking about gas-powered weed eaters. I just have to keep in mind that I'm also looking at a weed eater package that's under $200. And I would say that versus the smallest of the gas-powered weed eaters in the same price range, it's still pretty good winner. The adjustments here, I'm running into a couple of things with. One, the little wheel edger. I mean, yeah, it's nice, but I think it's unnecessary. I can hold the weed eater sideways, and it works just fine. Okay, I don't really need a trace with the edger. The little adjustments here for adjusting this angle, that's decent. This thing, for flipping it sideways, okay, is getting a little problematic. It's not a major problem, but the thing is, they came up with what they probably thought was a slick little design thing by making it spring-loaded, so when you press this, it actually it'll spring into another position. The thing is, as you kind of bounce this weed eater around, or running it around bushes and brush and trying to get a little bit of heavier stuff done with it, a piece of something can come along and snap that and go and adjust your weed eater for you. The other thing I ran into is that in extending the string out, it turns out this thing isn't really automatic. What you do is you got to pinch these little things in to change a cartridge out. I showed the cartridge earlier. But to extend the string, it looks like nothing's automatic. What you have to do is flip this thing upside down, push this in, okay, see how that moves, and then that releases a little ratchet mechanism so you can extend the string out a little bit. And the cutter just cuts it off when it gets over length. That's how you deal with the string situation. It's not bad to go with a string situation that is only, not really automatic. The reason is because a lot of the automatic string feed things, while they're very cleverly designed, often fail. And so by eliminating a part that's prone to fail, the people at Greenworks Design are probably doing the right thing. However, don't expect this to be the most convenient system in the world. When you turn this thing on, you want to give it a couple seconds to warm up and get up to speed before you go cutting with it. That's common with a lot of electric weed eaters, and in reality you see it a lot with gas-powered weed eaters too. But the higher powered gas-powered weed eaters, yes, it is possible just to hit the trigger and start cutting. With this, you want to get it up to speed first. Again, it looks to me like I can't retrofit that with, let's say, a blade assembly. The other thing is, you can see how this whole guard thing is kind of one-sided. We're going to have an issue because of the way they designed it. You're pretty much only going to be able to cut from right to left. You can't cut on the other side. So you've got a cutting side and non-cutting side. And depending on your position and the narrowness of the area that you're cutting in, that may or may not be something easy to reach. If you were to break out a Sawzall or a cutting tool and do what some of the guys do with the metal guards, which is cut them back like at about here, just make this a rear guard, then what happens is you lose the little edge cutter for the string, which may not be the end of the world. You may be able to improvise something else on there. This is also, you cannot rotate or adjust this, so it's not like you adjust it over for right or left-handed use one way or the other. What I am finding is that this thing's actually pretty friendly for left-handed use. So all the controls back here are ambidextrous. This up here almost seems like it's a little more left-hand friendly than right-hand friendly. But that may not be a major issue with the average user. For professional use, I don't think it's up there with gas stuff, unless you're a general purpose handyman and you're trying to handle different kinds of jobs and you never quite know what you're going to run into. Like for me, I go to people's homes and I do work, and sometimes they call me for really varied tasks, and they're not always the same thing. So if you're a specialized lawn and garden guy, you're probably going to look down at this tool. If you're not so specialized, get everything handled type of guy, this is a really good thing to have. And then for homeowner grade stuff, I think it's fine. I wanted to test the battery life on this thing, and so I did the weed eating at my place. And then the battery still had a lot of life in it. So I went and did a weed eating at an abandoned house in the neighborhood and still had battery life left. So, yeah, doing a couple of houses worth of weed eating of lawns that have been taken care of. The so-called abandoned house was like a bank repo that they still have a contractor come out and take care of. But I still have a battery life, so I don't know how long the battery lasts. I can tell you this. It looks like you can get a hell of a lot done with the battery. It definitely got capacity. And when I hit some thicker, heavier areas of weeds that maybe a lot of other electric weed eaters couldn't handle, this couldn't handle it either. Unfortunately, in those areas, there was so much background noise, it wasn't worth doing a video. You also have to realize that if you've got thicker, heavier stuff, Greenworks also makes a hedge trimmer and a chainsaw and a lawnmower. So if you get the entire Greenworks system, you're still in the entire system for under $1,000. You'll have several batteries, and you should be able to handle full lawn maintenance on a regular house. The cargo capacity of your vehicle, some other things might be an issue, whether or not you're going to carry those around for your work. But as far as having a little shed or something like that, I would say if you go with the systems approach on Greenworks, that's good. I would like to see them expand out to having more stuff that uses that awesome battery. The battery is definitely a strong point on this. Ergonomics, I'd give it a 3 out of 5 on ergonomics. It's okay. It's not wonderful. The tool head, I would give them a 3 out of 5. I think they got some good points and bad points. I like the way they simplified some things without having to automatic line feed. It's a little bit inconvenient, but it's probably more reliable in the long run. The other thing to realize from a safety standpoint, the guard is a little bit oversized on here. And if you cut it away, you're going to lose your little trimmer, little string cutter. I don't know if you want to do that or not. But if this wheel were to break off or you lose that, it's not the end of the world. But it's nice to have for safety. One little thing to consider on the safety issue, though, is you are this thing's still going to spin for a while after you've let up on a trigger. So if you bring this up close to your face while it's spinning to make an adjustment on this, realize you could cut yourself, you could get hurt. You got to wait for that thing to stop after you let up on the trigger, because it will keep going for a little bit. So that's my review. It's the long, extensive 3-video review on the Greenworks Weedeater. And hopefully can answer any possible questions in this little almost half-hour presentation.